What's up, everyone? So today we are here with Juliana Watts, and she is the owner of Bold and Balanced by Juliana. Does a lot of amazing work. I've gotten to know Juliana over the past, how long has it even been? It's been,
It's been a
what,
little over a year now.
a little over a year. So we've worked with some energy healing. We've worked with,
Yes.
you've worked out of the office for a little while doing your business, and it's been great to get to know you. And you've been to a few events and everything, and it's just you're you're always an interesting person to me. So when I was doing the podcast, I was like, who can I have on? And you were one person that came to mind first because I was
Thank you.
like, you are I don't know. We always talk a lot, and when we start talking, it just keeps going and going. So
Yes.
so yes.
Very true.
So just kind of moving into, I know that you do a lot of uh, there was a story one time that you were kind of telling me, and I don't remember the specifics of it, and it's something that just came to mind, but it was about something about you were. It brought you to a point where you were like, I want to empower myself and I want to empower others. Or do
Yes.
you remember what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay, for a second, I was like, am I making this up right now? Do you remember that? Would you
Yes, I
like to
do
share
remember.
that by any
Yes,
chance?
yes. So I'm gonna back up a little bit to get to that. I
Yes.
am from Brazil. I came here as an exchange student, went back home, I have a business degree, my first degree from home, came to the MBA, didn't do it. Got married instead and went back for nursing, which it was a big passion of mine, the healthcare field. After that, became a nurse practitioner, practiced for a short period of time, and quickly became in leadership. And a certain company that I was working for, I actually was the first one to be hired on the ground. And I built the whole team. I built the market. It was a startup. My boss left and they asked me to step in his shoes and do the work while they hire somebody else. Of course, I applied for the position. I was doing all the work um, with no support. When it came to the hire, the the boss at that time, he looked at me and he's like, "Well, we considered you, but not really because you are very young and it must be really hard for you to do this job having English as a second language."
Mm,
Mind you, been here at that time was 15 years.
yeah.
And at that point, it was kind of a big knife, not little, a big knife in my chest. And it just it was somebody taking the power off of me. And at that point, I decided that nobody else was ever going to take the power off me. To top it off, I have two daughters, and I need to be a role model for, right? They
Yes.
need to see that because a lot of times we don't speak up because we're afraid the consequences, we're afraid of next. We shrink ourselves, we put ourselves less than so the other person can be more. And I, at that point, I said, not anymore. That's it.
I love
And I
that.
started taking the step towards where I am now.
That's awesome. A couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you came from Brazil?
First time I was 16, and
Okay,
then the second time I was 23, 22, 23.
that's awesome. How was it in Brazil growing up over there? Is it pretty there? Like, is it,
It
how was it?
is. It
Yes.
is. I live by the ocean, big city. I think it was I think
Nice.
my hometown is the third biggest city in Brazil.
Oh, wow.
So we live in the city. It's not like here you live in the suburbs and we live high-rise buildings. I was in the 12th floor, could see the ocean from my window. It's a warm weather all year round. It probably hits like 75. Everybody's getting their boots out, their jackets on, like the leather jackets, and the big thing for me was the beach and the family. My mom is one of 11, so it's a big
Wow.
family. Um, but it was really great. But I needed what I came to find out is travel for me, going out somewhere is like freedom. Yes, I've been here for 19 years in the United States, and I live in Harrison for 12 years.
Mhm.
But being able to travel, being able to go different places is like a freedom. When I feel kind of caged, taking that step for me is liberating. Knowing different places, different cultures.
I can imagine. I have a few friends that's came from different places, like countries like that. And for me, I've only been out of the country one time, and it was to Jamaica, and that was like a culture shock because it was um, just different, obviously, than here. And but it was such a beautiful place. And I always wondered, like, what is it like to actually come from another country, like going to another country and just starting all over. And I have a couple of friends that similar to you, honestly, where they were like younger and then a young adult coming over, and I can't even imagine just like starting over and doing that. But I love that though.
And another thing that comes to my mind too is when you are an immigrant, you try to fit in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And belonging is something that I talk a lot. I work a lot in my practice right now because it's one of our basic needs is belonging, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a big fear why people don't take this step. Um, so belonging, when you come as an immigrant, you try to fit in, and you put yourself behind, you put yourself, shrink yourself, and you people please because you wanna be part of that community. And when I realized that even that, I'm like, no, I said, I need to be authentic. It's done. It's time to take the step forward and help other women too. And as I opened this door, just to hear the stories and the impact I've been making on my clients, and I think too, not only my clients, but through social media and through different platforms, even conversations and chats, that has opened up so fast, so much, so quick that it's really, really beautiful.
I agree, and I that's the one thing I love about social media is just that like you can reach so many people, and there's so many people that because you put a video out and you get one or two likes on it, or you get 100 likes, or whatever you get, but you have no clue who you're actually touching with that video. And I've had so many people that come up that's like, this video that you put out,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll go back and check because I'm curious on these things, and that person didn't even like the post at all, and they're saying it changed their life. And that's just a reminder that the things that we do put out can change so many people's lives. And I don't know, I love that. But
But that's the truth of social media anymore. People don't interact because there's so much. The scrolling is so much
mhm.
that we are reaching people, but they're not liking it. They're not commenting. They watch and they move on. So it's an ego check for us content creators as well, because it's not about the likes, it's about the impact that's being made.
Hmm. Well, and two things to that, I think. So, like the number one thing is, I think Zuckerberg was saying that uh, social media as we know it is not the same anymore. Like basically,
Mm-hmm.
like the MySpace days and then the Facebook days when we used to go on and used to go on to see what our family's doing or what our friends are doing. Now, people are going on to see what the weather is or what the I don't know, different businesses and things like that. And it's kind of becoming like one big giant ad with a couple of good things that you want to see thrown in there. So I think I would imagine that stops people from liking a lot of different things because they're afraid it's going to mess with their algorithm in some way, shape, or form. At least that's how I think about it, because I'll see things that I like and I don't like them because I don't want to start getting crushed with all those ads and stuff from that. Something just happened with that the other day. I Googled something, and oh yeah, I was talking to a friend and she was wanting to start doing some stuff online, like practicing doing some stuff online. And I sent her a group that she would be a good fit, would be a good fit for. And as soon as I got back on Facebook, it was like, look at this group, look at this group. It was the same kind of theme. And I was like, man, just from going on the group one time and sharing it, it's now blowing me up with it. And in some ways that's great, but then other ways it's not, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But are you pretty active on social media? And if so, what platforms are good for you?
I go in spurts. I When I started my business, I thought, well, I gotta do all of them. Right? I did TikTok, Facebook, um, Instagram, but now I really focus on two, which is Instagram and LinkedIn.
I've heard a lot of people use LinkedIn, and
LinkedIn is
I've
very underused
mhm,
yet. I have been really, really having stronger than actually uh, uh, uh,
Instagram.
Instagram.
Mm,
Yes, yes,
really?
and Facebook. I actually removed the Facebook link and the TikTok link from my webpage because my most of my clients, their majority is Instagram and LinkedIn, and
Hmm.
I needed to focus on one. I couldn't just do all of it.
I agree. I think sometimes it's super good to withdraw your energy from all those other places
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like if we're spreading our energy in so many different places like that, then it just gets
Mm-hmm.
scattered, and
Yes.
it's like you're throwing a thin piece of energy over here, a thin piece of energy over here,
Mm-hmm.
when we could concentrate it and throw a big piece of energy here and here. So I think that's
Yeah.
awesome and amazing, and that's kind of the same way I am with it as well. I'm a TikTok, Facebook guy, but um, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about LinkedIn though, and it sparks my curiosity about it. And I don't know.
It's a different way of interacting on LinkedIn for sure.
I always thought it was like a place for like resumes or something, or like to try to find a good job or something. I had no,
It is a business platform, and
okay.
that's why I go there because I coach entrepreneurs and executive and director level or managers too, but like
Mhm.
leaders, female leaders. So that is a platform that I am getting a lot of traction to.
I love that. And kind of speaking of that, so your work is you do many different things, but I know you have a clinical background, like you mentioned before, and you've. I know. I think when I met you, you were, I believe, maybe a nurse practitioner, or you were doing some management stuff or something along those
Mm-hmm.
lines. But and then I know now you're doing a lot of your coaching and trying to empower people. And I was doing a little bit of reading on your website before today's podcast, and um, it's just there's so much empowering language on your website. It was as I was reading, I was just like, there's like every paragraph has an empowering kind of energy behind it, and I really like that. And I thought if someone comes on here, they're going to really feel that energy from you, and it'll be I don't know, they'll feel it. But uh, so where do you find yourself, or what do you find yourself do? I guess what do you do in your work that you're doing with your coaching stuff? Like, what are you helping people that are needing guidance with their business, or are you helping people that need guidance in life, or all of the above?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So, well, kind of all the above a little bit. My background a little bit. Like you said, I'm a nurse practitioner. I have been leadership for a long time. Director level, last one, head of national memory care, all 50 states. The last one was the regional vice president of clinical operations. And I always thought, Josh, that going to the top was better. Grow, 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 grow. I always been like what we call a superstar,
Hmm.
right? And then we have the rock stars too, that is similar high performance, but they don't want to be moving up the ladder. Anyways, got there and I was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be.
I hear that
So,
story too often, by the way.
oh,
Yeah.
yes, yes. And juggling, right? How many times I told my kid, like, don't make a beep. Like, I feel guilty for taking my kids to the doctors because they're sick because I had a meeting that I could just delegate to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this was a few years ago, and I started more and more and more balancing both. Yes, not every day is going to be 50-50. Some days work is going to be 80, in my home is going to be 20, but the other way around happens too. And it's just that balancing of the plates is just not like I have to juggle everything at the same time. So that's when I decided to take the step and officially leave corporate and become a coach. In my practice, I do incorporate a lot of different modalities per se. There is the biggest one is finding out the root of what's going on. I'll give an example of that. Somebody had an entrepreneur, and she came to me and we talked, and she said to me like, I just can't get a routine. I wanted to get a routine and I can't get a routine established. Well, came to find out, you know those toys that we play when we are kids, the peg whole one, they have the stars and the
Oh
heart and
yes,
the,
I do.
yes,
Yes.
that's our problem. We try to fit, get our peg doesn't fit the mold there, and we're trying to squeeze ourselves to belong to society. So she was trying to get a schedule routine, like what we hear is the right routine, what everybody else should do. When we came to find out that her routine is, some days she wakes up at 2 a.m. and she has this brilliant idea, she's full of energy, she want to work, she can get up and work, and then her kids go to school, she can take a nap for those hours that she missed. That is okay, but it's bad, right? Because you're not
Yeah.
hustling. So just understanding that and losing the fear of not belonging. Brené Brown says something along the lines that um, fitting in, and when you change yourself to fit in a place, belonging is being yourself and being accepted by that place. And that place doesn't have to be a place, a home. It can be a society, it can be a person. It's where you can be 100% yourself.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, what do you think about if you try? Well, I guess you're kind of touching on that, but like if you go and you're trying to fit in somewhere, and you're not fitting in there, what do you suggest in that situation?
It's, you're not being your authentic self, right? So we have to find the root cause. Usually you're afraid of losing somebody or something.
Mm,
Somebody sometimes is the approval of your parents, of your husband, of your spouse, your wife, right? So, or society. How is society gonna see me?
yeah, I think that people get really caught up on the um, I can't think of the right word, but just the career that they're doing, if it looks good from the outside, basically,
Mm-hmm.
versus if it feels good on the inside. And I know by reading on your website and knowing you that that's something where you're like,
Yes.
you don't want to live that. And I think that uh, for me, that was a big turning point in my life when I realized this is not what I want to do. I don't feel good doing this. I have to start leading with going where I feel
Mm-hmm.
what feels good. And I think it was maybe Dolores Cannon is the one that talks about that, or maybe it's Abraham Hicks. I think maybe talks a lot about that. But either way, just talking about chasing, or not chasing, but moving where you feel what excites you and what feels good and stuff. And I started living my life like that, and in a healthy way, not like, oh, going and jumping off this bridge feels exciting, but more so, this job that makes less money, that is not glorified, feels way more exciting than this job that does make money. And as soon as I started making those leaps, I think that's when my life started to change, and I
Mm-hmm.
started to realize that it's not about what you do. And one other thing I want to say is, I was a long time ago, there was a pharmacist that we were friends with. This guy, he was a pharmacist, so we all kind of looked up to him because he had the glorified job as a pharmacist. Well, now I know a pharmacist's job sucks, to some, so anybody don't get offended by that, but like it's very stressful and it's very high
Mm-hmm.
demand, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like very repetitive and stuff. And um, but we all looked up to him, and I was talking to him about my career one time, and he was like, and he was older than us, and he was like, Josh, you said in life it does not matter what you do, as long as you are happy and you're making enough money to support yourself and your
Mm-hmm.
family. That's all that matters in life. He said it doesn't matter if you're delivering pizzas or if you are working at McDonald's. If that's something that makes you feel happy, then you go and do that. You don't need to be a doctor, a pharmacist, or anything to be successful. And I do feel like there's so many people that are caught in that trap, like you said, by parents and so on. And I just think that it is so important to kind of break out of
Yes.
that.
Yes. 100%. And there are people that love it, that thrive in it, right? But also it's hard to juggle the personal life and the business life, the professional life. So I also help those people be able to do both and be good with themselves. What I am really going for is us that look perfect on the outside, got it together. How many times I was told, but you have it all together. I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't. You know, how many times I said my husband take the kids to the birthday party on the wrong date,
Mm,
literally to the jumping place, like those
that's hilarious.
trampoline. He got there like, there's nobody here with this name, and I'm like, Oh, shoot, it's tomorrow.
Oh no. Yes.
So, but it's being okay with that. We all kind of get in those stages at times, but also helping them to feel that it's okay. Like that the person, the client that I helped, it's okay to wake up at 2 and do their work and then take a nap for 3 hours when the kids are at school.
Hmm.
Because if you have to work that long as in your business, do you know what I mean? It's
I
just being
do.
okay with that, being okay with being different. And one of the best things she told me is like, I haven't been excited about a lot about anything in the last like 3 years.
Mm.
This is the first time I feel excitement about something.
Oh, I
And
love
that is
that.
just my world. That's why I do this job as a coach. I Yes, and I say it's about the money, right? The money comes. The money, it will happen. It will show up. And
Mm.
again, there's money blocks that sometimes we need to work on. Beliefs about money that we don't feel that we deserve the money for, so because we're greedy, right? How many
Mm.
times in the energy field and in the spiritual field that people feel like that they're bad if they're getting money because of
Mm.
they're using their gifts. That is not bad. So that's why we have to break those beliefs to be able to receive the money, because we receive that. The money is not the end goal. When I ask people like, what would you like to manifest? It's not really, even if you say like, oh, I want to have a lot of money, but that's not what it is. Money is a mean. It's just like when you book a trip, when you buy a plane ticket to go, let's say you're going to California. You're not buying the plane ticket to be able to fly a plane. You're buying the ticket to get to California.
Mm.
So money is the same thing as the mean, as the plane to get you what you want to be.
That's a great analogy. And I agree. I think that uh, that changed for me when I started doing manifesting and stuff, and I would go in and do visualization and stuff like that. And I would, I started to realize basically that while I do want to have financial freedom, it's really the frequencies that come along with all of that, and that's what I started to dive into, is those frequencies, not like grasping onto I need money. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that too often people do chase the money and then become unhappy for it, but they justify that unhappiness with the fact that they make a lot of money. And later on, though, they realize that I'm not happy and I'm going to make that shift. And then they make that shift and they realize just money isn't. I
Mm-hmm.
think people that don't have money think that money is going to solve all of the things. And then when you talk to someone that does have a lot of money, they're like, no, it's unfortunately it solves a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
but money's great. I mean, it does a lot for us, but it's not the end all. And then the balance is so huge. I think that uh, when it comes, that's something that, so for me, I feel guilty for not spending enough time at home sometimes, or uh, not spending enough time at work even. And something you said, I forget exactly what it was, but you said a second ago, and it really kind of reminded me that uh, it is okay. That's what it was. That some days you're going to be 80% at work
Mm-hmm.
and 20% at home and so on. And I think that that's an excellent way to look at it. And I mean, I don't think, and you may think different, but I don't think that we necessarily need to like make charts on like today I was this much in this and that. But I think that we do need to become more mindful of like how much we are balancing uh, life and work,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, just allow ourselves to, I don't know, to kind of just move into that place of balance. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you get out of balance, then you're always trying to like get back in. And I think that if
To
you can,
be, to be, and going back to social media too. Social media plays that everybody's perfect, right? And people are getting tired of seeing perfect. And that's
mm,
when I talk about being authentic. Yes, I can get in there and say, I'm so perfect. I do this so great. I actually showed a picture to my kids once. We were on vacation. Gosh, it was in the beach somewhere. I think it was St. Pete, Tampa, and there was chaos. The kids were fighting. I almost I actually started packing the bags and said, we're leaving. Um,
The ultimate parent thing to
but
do
we
there.
were
Yes.
at the beach at that moment, and I just took a picture, and I was like, oh, I'm going to prove a point to my kids. Took a picture of my toes in the water, right, laying down there, like a perfect day at the beach, and I actually posted it on my Instagram. This has been like years ago. And then I showed them, like, do you remember that day that everything was chaos? And I said, we almost left. I'm like, yeah. I said, look at this. What do you tell me about this? That wasn't happening, Mom. I said, exactly. That's what people do. You know what I mean?
That's
People post
awesome.
the perfect, and that's why I'm being authentic. I just put a post on LinkedIn about being an immigrant and having
Mm.
to carry my passport card with me, right? Um, but it's just being authentic, and people need that. We need to see when somebody else, we see each other and like, okay, that person is going through that too, and they're thriving. Look at that. I can do that too.
Yeah,
It's
I
inspiring more
agree.
than perfect.
It is. And I think being authentic is, I truly do believe that people are sick of seeing perfect at this point
Mm-hmm.
because it just doesn't fit in anymore, honestly. And I think, like, I tell my kids often that, like, I have no clue what in the hell I'm doing in life right now. They think that
Mm-hmm.
I'm a hero. They think that I'm
Yeah.
like, and I'm like, I'm doing my best. But now growing up and understanding what my mom went through, and she was the same as me, and like, no one knows what the heck they're doing in life. Yes, we have our ideas and we kind of put it together and stuff like that, but we're all
Mm-hmm.
just trying to figure stuff out, and that's all we're trying to do. So while anybody looks like they have it all together, they might have it all together in one area, but then the other area they don't. And meaning they might, their job, they might have it all together there, everything's
Mm-hmm.
running perfect, but their relationship at home is falling apart, or their happiness and things like that. So that's why I think that it is important to have people like you in the world that are trying to help people gain balance and become happy with where they're at, and so on. Is that what
Mm-hmm.
inspired your
Yeah.
name? Is
Yeah.
the
Yes,
Yeah.
because you're bold and balanced. You gotta take that step, the bold step, right? And you
Yes.
have to have the balance too in your life. Um, as you were saying that, something came to my mind, and I forgot.
I hate when that happens.
Um,
We're
yes. So one thing that I really shifted, really helped me change my mindset, right? Because it's all mindset. It's gratitude is one of the best things. It's the best vibration. There's actually studies on Harvard that says about gratitude. But shifting that is, there's always somebody that kind of tick you off, right?
mm,
And with that, my thought is that person is trying the best they can today. So I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to do a crappy job today. I'm going to piss that person off. Maybe there is. But I thought about it and I'm like, they might be doing the best they can today.
and so that's something that shifted my life as well, thinking
Mm-hmm.
that, and also looking at it like the best they can is different for every single person out there
Yes.
because of like where they grew up, or who their parents were, or what they were surrounded with,
Mm-hmm.
or what their situation is. Like the best I can is going to be completely different than another person's the best they can. And I think if we do look at everyone, I always say this, I look at everyone like they're just a soul, a spirit that's like just trying to figure this world out, and they're just like a little baby almost inside, and they're just trying to figure everything out, and they are doing the best that they can.
Yes.
And I think that if we can just kind of have that filter, you're still going to get mad at people at
Mm-hmm.
times, and it's because we're all human. But
Yes. Yes.
I think if we can try to look at it that way, I think that it can make things put things into perspective so much more
Yes.
for
Yes.
us.
Can I tell you a story
I
that
would
I
love
tell
it.
my
Yes.
clients? This one, a big one that I love. I tell my kids too a lot of times. When people just come and just yell at you for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you were distracted. Maybe you didn't know that you can put this water here. And I can't believe you're doing this. And just kind of comes at you, right? They're rude. I say that we all carry a bag of rocks.
Mm.
And our bag of rocks, what are they? They're our past, our experience on that day, our previous days. These are shaping us, right? The lenses that we use, but we have the bag of rocks. Sometimes people's bag of rocks gets very heavy and they can't carry it themselves. So they want to hand it to you. How many times you got to somebody and just like let it out and you felt a lot better? You handed them your bag of rocks and that person took it because that person engaged.
Mm-hmm.
So what I teach my clients and my kids, it's like, okay, it must be just thinking when that person acts up or does a certain way, you just think like, oh my God, their bag of rocks, it must be so heavy. But it's not my bag of rocks. I'm not taking it today.
Yes, I love that. And also, I think that a couple things that I was thinking as you were talking is how lucky your kids are to have you to be able to teach them things like that. And I think that it's so important for our younger generations to understand things from that type of perspective and learn different ways to cope with it and things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, though, our kids are kids, and
Yeah.
they are their own person, and they're going to do their own thing.
Sometimes they listen, but sometimes it's just like, oh, mom, I know. I
Yeah,
haven't ever said it. They're like, no, we don't know. But that's all right because they need to learn themselves. And like you said, like we're learning. I say to my oldest all the time, you're my first one. I'm learning with you. I just
Mhm.
mess it up. I'm sorry. Let's try it again, you know?
Yes. Well, and that's a good point because I think once we tell them something, and they're like, "Oh, I know," or whatever, they brush it off. But then when it does happen, or if something happens surrounding that, what we said pops up in their
Mm-hmm.
mind, and they're like, and then they are a little bit more prepared for that situation and so on. So I don't know. I think that that's awesome. And then just the rock analogy, I think that that is so true.
Yeah.
And uh, do you teach? I'm going to tell a quick little story as well. But do
Mm-hmm.
you teach your? This is a question I'm going to ask. Do you teach your clients like how to protect their energy energetically or anything like that? And the reason I ask that is because I used to have or I still have a friend, but my friend, he would have a lot of drama going on in his life, and he would give me a call and just drop his bag of rocks all through the phone, and it was about him and his relationship, and we would talk, and I'm there, and I'm like, yeah, man, you need to leave her, this or whatever I'm saying. And then after we hung up, or as we're hanging up, he's like, man, I appreciate you listening to me. I apologize for venting so much, but I feel so much better now, and hope you have a great day. And I'm like, yeah, man, you too. And for me, I'm feeling drained, and I'm also feeling heavy at that point. So then about 10, 15 minutes later, my wife and I start having a little argument, and I'm like, hold on, no, this isn't going to pass on down into me. And
Yeah.
we're not. So I took on his energy, so to say, or his bag of rocks,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that it's important for us to understand how to hold space for someone that is unloading their rocks. What would your recommendations be there, if you have any, or what do you teach your people, your
So two
clients?
things. Okay. One thing there's people that you just need to distance yourself from. And I have done that because
Mm,
I was really literally carrying a big suitcase of rocks. It wasn't a bag anymore for them. The other one is when somebody says, and you can ask them like, "Hey, tell me when you need to vent." I've done that work. I've had somebody apologize. I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, bring it on. And people that know me, I say, "Hey, I'm here. Hand me your rocks."
yeah.
We can even joke. But I do feel like I do the shield around me. I ground myself, and I do the protection, and I say,
Nice.
bring it on. And sometimes even we're having a conversation somewhere, and I see people kind of talking and just complaining. As the conversation is evolving, you're at a softball practice, or I don't know, practice, or at the store, and I just put a shield on me and I
Mhm.
ground myself. And I do teach my clients that because it's very, very important to do that.
Well, and just for the people watching, do you have any quick examples of how to how to do that bubble or the shield or the
Yes.
grounding or anything?
Uh, think of roots coming down your feet, going all the way to the crystalline core of the earth. I imagine it's red. My roots are red. And then I feel the heartbeat going the same heartbeat as the earth.
That's nice. That's really nice.
And then I have a marble of pure white light right in the center of my heart. And it expands, and it's like a bubble, like a soap bubble. you know, that kind of have that color, kind of
Oh
like that
yes.
soap when you do those big soap things and you kind
Mm-hmm.
of do. Yes, it's exactly that, and it just bubbles me up,
That's
and it
awesome.
doesn't penetrate, it doesn't go through. And I ask for protection. And people can do this, and Josh, even people that don't really, there are different religions, right? You can ask your higher self, your God, whatever you call, right?
Mm.
Um, Allah or universe. I usually say guides or universe, but you can call anything. It is just that force, that faith that you have to come and help protect you.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think it's, I mean, just that intention of I'm going to put that bubble out and I'm going to protect
Mm-hmm.
myself. And over the years for me, when I've done protection, there's been times where I would call on my spirit guides, or I would call on archangels, or I would call on Jesus or
Mm-hmm.
God or whatever. And I went through all of them as well, just because they come into my life at different times. But um, there's been times when they're like, we aren't putting the bubble around you, you're putting your bubble around you, and it like basically giving me this empowering energy
Yes.
of, you have the power to protect your energy, you have the power to allow yourself to um, be engulfed in that energy and set that intention for what we need and so on. So I think yeah, I love that. I think everyone should do protection and grounding every single day. So and because it does help from taking on the energy and so on. So
Yes. Yes. 100%. One other thing that I bring into my practice too, I haven't mastered it yet, but who
mm,
does master everything, right?
yes, I agree.
Is the somatic part, is the
Mm.
energy where the illness come from. Yes, I love Western medicine. I'm a nurse practitioner, right? Uh, but when it comes to something more chronic, like an ache more chronic,
Mm.
a autoimmune, how many times you hear about miracles? It's because you are healing the source of that issue that is causing. Everything has a meaning. The body speaks first before it gets to your mind. So the body knows before your mind does.
Yeah, I
So just
agree.
so I work with that when my clients are open to it. If we need to, we go there, and I'm bringing some different resources too to it. Again, I haven't fully mastered, but I got pretty good about it, about like understanding and kind of knowing like the different parts of the body, different sides, female, male. You know, it's
Mm.
from ancient different medicines in different places, from Egyptian ancient medicine and the Chinese ancient medicine. It's really really cool to see. I had a somebody that I worked with once, and she was being very, let me say, like squashed at work, and she was having hip pain. And I talked to her. That person is no longer working there. After we talked, and I'm like, "Is your hip pain better?" And she's like, "I haven't noticed it, but yes." So just to see how far it goes, it's like so interesting how things happen. And by no means I say not to use Western medicine, because Western medicine is really, really good. You got a cut in your leg, gotta need some stitches. That was we do. You know what I mean? But if something, and you also do co-treatments.
Mm.
You can do the medication, you can do the Western medicine with the Eastern medicine. It's so, so important.
That's literally what I was just going to say. Is I've seen so many times that they go hand in hand,
Mm-hmm.
and but it's not like, so if you get the medicine and you start taking it, maybe it'll take you 2 weeks to get better. But if you start doing some energetic work behind it and you're doing the
Mm-hmm.
medicine, you're probably good in 3 to 5 days or so. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I've seen with it a lot, with myself and with my family in particular, but just others. And I think that, well, I mean, we have books out there like The Body Keeps Score and stuff
Yes.
like that. And one that I actually haven't read. Everyone in my whole reality has read it except for me at this point. But I think that it is important to understand or know that you
Mm-hmm.
do hold stuff in your body, and that uh, that hip pain or that back pain or that neck pain or whatever
Mm-hmm.
is, or your irritable bowel syndrome or whatever you have,
Yes.
most likely has something to do with something,
Yes.
and like an emotion that's attached, or some kind of negative energy, or even sometimes just a blockage from a trauma. There's so many times that I've seen when someone's like hurt their leg or something, and uh, there's a ton of blocked energy because there's some trauma energy from
Mm-hmm.
hurting their leg, and they think it's all gone, and but it's not. One of my friends was telling me one time she went outside and she was mad at her husband, and she was like, I'm going to go break sticks. They had a bunch of sticks in their yard, so she was like, I'm going to slam them on the ground and break them. And she was doing it, and she reached down to grab a stick, and her whole back went out. Her lower back, I believe, went completely out, and she realized that that anger like just went straight to that area. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I can't remember if I did work on her or if she was doing it herself. I honestly don't remember, but she was like, I'm processing this anger and now my back's getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And once she processed that, it was better. So, and I think the somatic part of it all is important to look at as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you also are you right? You're level 2, right, in
Yes.
Reiki? Yeah, so you're Reiki level 2. And do you feel like, are you bringing the energy healing aspect into your work at this point, or is that something that you're kind of doing separate from that?
I haven't done the energy healing as much. I used to bring all together
Mm.
with my coaching business. It's mainly the coaching business, but when we do some exercises throughout the sessions. We do healing if we need to do. Um, it depends on what everybody does,
Yeah,
what everybody
just
needs.
like a personal or
Yes,
person by person
yes.
basis. And
So I'm partnered with the Beauty Boost right now, and I do events, and I am very much clear sense.
mhm.
And when I do the Reiki, it's there's a lot of messages that come through. It's so interesting because I'll do like 15 women in one night, like just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just like a quick energy setting, like healing, and that is just kind of has sparked a lot of conversation, a lot of good conversations with them,
That's awesome.
and you just send the healing energy to that spot, and it's so interesting because when we're doing, it's like a magnet. Your hand, like it's just a magnet pulls where the chakra that needs to be.
Yeah. What did you say it was? Beauty Boost
The
or
Beauty Boost
the Beauty Boost? Is that like an event where they
for
have?
women, they get
Ah,
together
okay.
once a month. Yes.
That's awesome. And then you just do some like
I have a
small
booth.
Reiki sessions there when
Yes.
you're there. That's awesome. Do you find that doing that many Reiki sessions helps you to see the difference in other people's, in each person's energy, and help
Yes.
you? Yeah, I've always loved that about that. Just like
Yes.
seeing so many different people one after another. It's like,
And it's so interesting because it's just short time. It's like 5-10 minutes, and I get so many messages to those people,
mm,
to those women. I get messages. Um, Sometimes they tear up. Sometimes like, but the messages are so beautiful at times.
how hard was it for you to start to learn to trust yourself with those messages that you were getting and stuff like that? Because I know a lot of people that do energy work or even massage or chiropractic, just anyone that's closely in other people's energy,
Hmm.
sometimes they open up and they are getting messages and stuff, but they don't feel um, comfortable enough sharing that. How did you get to the point where you were like, I'm going to share?
Seeing other people do it, to be
Mm,
really honest, like we're talking about being authentic. I watched a show, The Goop Lab with Gwyneth Paltrow, and this was seen like there was an episode about a psychic that come and she was talking. She actually made a mistake. She was talking to somebody, and she was actually reading one of the producers, one of the camera people, the
mm,
production folks, and the other person like, no. So it was like a mistake, right? But you can see like in the way she talks about different things, it's just really really trust in your intuition, because sometimes we think, oh my god, that sounds crazy, or that's about me, right? We think it's about me, it's my
mm,
thoughts, and I just decided to surrender. And surrender is a beautiful thing to do, and talked about it so much, but it took me a little while to really learn it. I say when you surrender, imagine yourself floating on a lazy river. You can't float on a float and go the other way around. It will float.
mm.
So that's surrender, right? You're
Yes.
gonna go with the flow. You're gonna go the lazy river all the way. The river doesn't go backwards. It usually goes forward. So
I love that. And I think that So actually, a question about that, what you were just talking about with when she was reading the wrong person. Did did you see it in her where she was just like confident to where she's like, I know what I'm getting is what I'm is a message for someone, but it just must not be for you, or how
She
did she
said,
react?
"Give me a minute," but that's what I'm seeing. That's what it coming. She's and the girl that it was sitting, she was really closed up and really skeptical.
Mm,
And then somebody start crying. It's like it's about me. And she was
mm,
talking about I see donkeys, and it's just like it sounds ridiculous, right? But that person said like, yeah, my grandpa died, and we made a joke. We're gonna have a donkey at my wedding, and we did it for him. So it was just so interesting how sometimes you just gotta trust it, and
yeah.
sometimes you don't get anything, and it's okay to say like, hey, I don't have anything to tell you.
Yeah, that was something that was a little bit hard for me is in the beginning is I always thought I needed to get a message for someone and then I wouldn't at times and I'm like, "Oh no." But becoming okay with there are no messages there and it's
Mm-hmm.
and I think at the end of the day, trusting your intuition and understanding that your whatever's coming through is coming through for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not. For example, that one. I mean, you're not going to say, "All right, what messages are there?" and then see donkeys for no reason. I mean, you're seeing donkeys for a
Yes,
reason.
yes.
So, I mean, going in the trust, and I say to my anyone that I'm training, like my students or my, and just anyone in life, really, honestly, is that at this point and this isn't from an ego or a cocky kind
Mm-hmm.
of standpoint, but at this point, no one could tell me that what I'm feeling is wrong. I guess in a
Mm-hmm.
way, not that I'm always right because I'm not always right. I make mistakes all the time, just like everyone else does. But if I'm feeling something or seeing a message about someone, I know that that message is true in some way, shape, or form. Now, I may not be interpreting it properly, or they may not be interpreting it properly, or like in that situation, it may be for someone else for some reason, or it may be for myself and I'm not getting out of the way enough and I'm getting messages for myself. But ultimately, I think we need to get to that place.
And I have something to add. So I am creating a class on, it's called emotional map. It's really,
Nice.
really cool. It's how to use your emotions as a guide, as a compass to be able to make decisions and really live your life. It's really, really cool. It's coming on Udemy next month. Um, but I haven't had a bad review per se on my business yet.
Mm,
And I say yet because it will come. I can't please everybody. When I had newer nurse practitioners, like newer grads or new NPs that would start, and we worked with some challenging populations at times, and they would cry and they'd be so embarrassed because they got fired by a patient. And I'll tell them I worked in the ER. That's what I started my career. I got fired by patients
mm,
for trying to do the right thing, right? I've got fired. I had somebody tell me they wanted antibiotic for a cold. If I didn't give it to them, they were going to walk out and go to urgent care and get it. I said, that's fine, but I'm not doing that. It wasn't needed at the time. So I used to tell them this: if you haven't been fired by a patient, you're not doing your job right.
yes.
And I was literally this week just thinking about it. I know I'm going to be fired by somebody sometime. I know I'm going to get a bad review. And that's fine. There's a lot of times, Josh, what really gets in the way of really belonging and being authentic is the fear of getting fired because it means that you don't belong, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody rejected you. So that is the biggest fear. So I am being authentic. Bring it on. You want to fire me? Go for it. That is
Yes.
all right. We'll move on to the next one
Mm-hmm.
because the good that we're doing is much greater. We're not going to please everybody. Not everybody is in the right place for growth, for steep growth. Some people, and that is all right. They're growing at their pace. Everybody is growing, but some are sharper growth than others. And it's not good or bad. It's just there. The beliefs can be different, right? And that is all right too. Somebody can tell, like, Matthew, I don't want to work with you. You're crazy. Or somebody can say to me, like, oh, thank you so much, but I don't think it's going to align. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to look
It's
at it.
different energies, right? But if you're not doing your job, if you're not being authentic, it really do because people need your authenticity. That's what you came here for. They need that whatever craziness, they different, they need that.
Hmm.
And that's why I said to myself, I am not hiding anymore. I am being authentic. I am being myself.
I love that. I really do, and I think that there's just such a superpower in saying that I think maybe even a like a in a healthy way, because in not using that I'm going to be authentically me as like a excuse to be a crappy person
Yes.
in a way.
Yes, 100%.
But something I was going to say a long time ago in this story or in this interview is that um, I'm still a realtor, but I was a realtor. I became a realtor. I don't even know how, maybe 20, 21 or something. And I got into it, and the company I was with was really old fashioned, and they were like, you have to wear a suit and tie. And I always have had this beard because I'm ugly without it. That was my thought. That was my thought process with it. But I was like, I'm not shaving my beard. And they wanted me to shave my beard. They fortunately let me go and would let me go working with them without shaving it. But I was just talking to my friends about this a weekend or two ago. I had this really nice car. It was a 1993 or a Nissan 300ZX twin turbo. Best car ever. For me, it was fast. It was cool. It was so fun to drive. And I traded that for some piece of crap BMW because I wanted to look more businessy instead of looking like the kid in the sports car. I wanted to have the BMW, and I'm pulling up, and I'm you get where I'm going with it.
Mm-hmm.
But so then fast forward, I was there maybe 6 months to a year, and I was like, I I was actually very successful in the way of making money with um, real estate. But I was like, I can't do it. I'm not going to fake who I am, because that was not at all who I am. And so then I put my license in hold for like 5 years or something like that. And then I was like, I'm going to come back. I'm going to do it. And there's a big story behind that, but this
Mm-hmm.
is not about me. I just want to tell this story. And I went back with another real estate company, a different one that was like, you can wear whatever you want, you can do whatever you want. And my motto going into that is, I'm not going to be fake businessy Josh. I'm going to be me. And when I go to a listing, I'm going to wear my regular clothes. I'm gonna try to look nice, but I'm gonna go in. I'm not gonna try to sell try to sell a person that isn't me. I'm gonna be authentically me, and if they don't like it, they don't like it, and that's fine. They can move on and so on. So I did start doing that, and that shifted everything for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
no longer have to be fake Josh or fake realtor Josh. So now it's
Yeah.
just like being that authentic person, and then now getting into the business that I'm in now, or the area of the spiritual
Mm-hmm.
realm of things, and all of that. My main goal is just to be authentic and try to, whoever you see is who you're getting. And I think we all put on a certain persona in ways, but I think just
Yeah.
trying to be as authentic as possible, in circling back in a healthy way, and not allowing it to make you late, or to be an excuse on being a crappy person. Because I know a lot of people that are like, oh, just me, it's what you get. And it's like,
Yeah. And I think too, there's a fine line, right? You're not gonna, I don't think you wearing a nice clothes to go to Jeff Ruby's instead of wearing a bathing suit and flip flops is not fitting in, like trying to be somebody else. If you want to go to a restaurant, that is a dress code, right? You kind of, you doing it because you want to go there. But we're talking more broad, right? You're not gonna come, I don't know, the same way you're not gonna be walking today at 25 degrees with shorts, flip flops, in a crop top, because this just doesn't work, right?
Mhm.
So you need to be mindful. You can be yourself. It's not just about other people, and sometimes you can give in a little bit too. You can't say without shrinking yourself, and you have somebody that needs something, you can come and support that person with empathy and love
Yeah,
without shrinking yourself. That is really, really possible.
I agree. I think I just love what you stand for. It's just like being yourself, and also like standing your ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I don't know. I really I love that about you, and I
Thank
love
you.
that about what you serve or what you do. Um, so one question that I have had that I was thinking is, um, you focus more on women because that's what you're led. That's where you feel called to go. Do you have like a soft spot for like immigrants as well, or people that aren't that are coming over to the United States and stuff like that?
So I wouldn't say soft spot. I don't have a preference for immigrants because I
Mm-hmm.
think we're all women and we all have the same things. You know, is the
Mm-hmm.
belonging because you moved to the country? Is it belonging because you had a you're trying to fit in with your friends? Did you know? I had I'll tell just a quick short story. I had a friend that not a friend, a client. She said that she used to go to this book club and these people were very pompous, really high wealth, really wealth, and then she would come and she feels like out of place.
Mm-hmm.
She felt out of place, and but she would come to the book clubs every time that they met, every month. And after working with her and working on some money blocks, she said, I have to tell you a story. And she told me that. And she said, and last time I went, and I just felt part of them. I just felt like one of them because we took the block of money that money is bad, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that money is okay. It was just really, really cool because, to answer your question, I went sideways,
It's all
but
good.
it's not about just immigrants, it's about women in general.
Mm. Well, and I think, and with that whole thing, I think that like there's, I mean, some of the, um, I don't know how to actually say it, but just I guess I would say some of the most empowering people or the most empowered people that I've met have been women, and I think honestly, coming from the woman's like nurturing side, I think that they're able to get like when they get empowered, I think they're more able to move into that empowerment with less ego than possibly even a man would because of we're more fiery or more like not fiery but I don't know, ego driven, I guess, instead of that intuitive led that a lot of women are or whatever. But um,
Yes and no. Some women have a lot of big egos too.
mm,
Yes. One thing to notice that is one other class that I'm getting ready for March to launch in March is about honor productivity of the women because the hormone level, men is the testosterone is flat, is the same all month. Women is like the seasons,
is it really?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So honoring the day of their cycle, actually, the body is really mourning the
Mm,
loss of a baby that didn't get fertilized, right? An egg that got fertilized.
mm,
So the body is mourning. That's why sometimes you have the PMS right before all the shift in hormone, and then sometimes you're more irritable. It's just the change. And when a woman learn to honor that, they can be so much more productive because I know that the first week of my cycle, I'm going to be inward. I don't want to see people much. So I wouldn't schedule, like myself, I wouldn't really schedule calls with new clients and big things the first week after my cycle
mm.
because my body is really inward. But then on, there's stages. So I'm creating, I call it the seasons kind of thing. And it's like, how can you honor your body and double your productivity?
Well, I think that's awesome that you like realize that as well. Like before, I'm gonna feel this way, and after, like
Mm-hmm.
you know, a week before, a week after, and I think because I that's something that I was thinking about today coming here is like today is a day where I feel like talking and I feel great. But what about a day that I have a podcast scheduled and I feel inward and I feel like I don't necessarily want to be, you know,
Yeah.
doing all that. So I don't know. That's just something I thought about. But that's good that you're looking at. And I never really thought about that of like the women are mourning
Mm-hmm.
each month because of that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a really different for me, a really different way
Mm-hmm.
of looking at it, which is it kind of brings perspective to it as well. And the body like doesn't necessarily know exactly what's going on when things are happening, besides it knows it's reacting to what's happening. And I
Yes.
think
Yes,
yeah.
it's honoring like when you're more most creative and you create things when you should close businesses. And of course, we can control everything to be perfect every month,
Mm-hmm.
but also being okay with that because reality is the job market is based on a men's cycle,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's steady. So you should produce every day and every hour. And that's not how it is. And sometimes you have to do it, you have to push through it. And that's okay too, but it's okay if you can slow down a little bit and pick up back the double the slack the week after. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's okay to feel that way, but we feel guilty because we don't feel productive.
Well, and I think you raise a great point with that as well of like we have to pay attention to how our body is
Mm-hmm.
working and how we feel in different situations. So for a female, how you feel before your menstrual cycle, after and during and so on, and
Mm-hmm.
what ways you can do to help support yourself and stuff like that. And then just in general of like, well, if I eat this certain thing, my body's not feeling
Yes.
good, or if I do that, or for example, if I don't get enough sleep, if I go to bed at 3 o'clock
Yes.
in the morning and wake up at 9 o'clock, I don't feel that great. So making those shifts and like
Yes.
understanding when is the optimal time to do things or what you can do to make it an optimal time to do things and versus when it's not. And I think just once you start paying attention to those, how things affect you, I think that can also basically what you're saying really help you to capitalize on the energy that you have and learn to slow down when you need to slow down and so on.
And that can be also your brain trying to trick you at times.
Mm.
Because when you're doing something new and things are going really good, the hell breaks loose. Self-sabotage can come in. People start getting sick. You get sick. Your car breaks down. This is all the energy that you're putting out, your brain is putting out because it's afraid of the unknown. So there is also whole work on that because sometimes you can just procrastinate things. Oh, I just don't feel good. I'm not gonna do it today, just for
Mm-hmm.
no reason, you know. So like knowing when things are and honoring that, but also understanding when the fear is kicking in and it's pulling you back to this comfort zone. It's really really important too.
That's a really great point as well. And because I think that like for me, when I used to have a big talk or something, or like I'm hosting a big event with a lot of people, my body would make me sick. Like
Mm-hmm.
I would get sick, not like, oh, my stomach's upset, I'm nervous, but like, oh, I have a clogged nose and a sore throat today or something. And it would happen all the time. Um, and then I wouldn't go to the event. And the next day I'm fine. And I'm like, hold on, I thought I was getting ready to be sick for a week or whatever, but it was just that thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I'm someone who hasn't had a ton of like shadow work that I've had to dive into. So I've always felt like I don't know, I'm working on what I need to and everything's good, but that is one area of life where I find that energetically I self sabotage in different areas, and that's something I've had to work on the past probably 2 years or so. And it's but the cool thing is when you start working on it, you start to see the change and you start to see the shift. So that's the like rewarding, cool part about it, and you things don't start sabotaging or you don't start sabotaging things and things just flow smoothly and
Mm-hmm.
so on.
If
So
you take the step, right? Because
yes.
action is what puts fear behind.
Hmm. I agree. Well, do you have anything else that you're wanting to touch on or anything before we wrap it up?
No, no. I think this was great.
I genuinely I do. I always love talking to you. Anytime that I would pass you in the hallway and talk, I was always like, man, I wish I had more time to just sit and talk. And then the times when we were sitting in here doing Reiki and stuff, it
Yes.
was just like chatting with you is always very interesting. So
Thank
I
you. Thank you.
am very thankful for that you're in my life in some way, shape, or
Yes.
form, and I'm very thankful that you came onto the podcast and to talk about everything. Um, if you can let everybody know how they can get a hold of you. And
Yes. Yes. That'll be great. So you can go to my website, boldbalanced by Juliana.com. You can also email me, Juliana at boldbalancedbyjuliana.com. Or you can just look me up on LinkedIn, Juliana Watts, and Instagram at Bold Balance by Juliana.
awesome.
Yes.
Well, I really
Um,
appreciate you being on
one more
here.
thing, Josh.
Yes, yes.
If you'd like to book a discovery call, those are complimentary, free of charge for the first one. Feel free to go on my website as well, or just reach out to my email and I'll send you the link.
And your website's super easy to navigate,
Thank
so
you.
everybody shouldn't have any problems getting on there and doing what they need to do. So I encourage anybody that is watching this, reach out. She's an amazing woman and um, can can really help to empower you and help you see things from a different point of view. And yeah,
Thank you so much for having me here today, Josh. It's
you're
been
very
really, really
welcome.
great.
You're
And
very
thank you
welcome.
all for watching it.
Yes. All right, everyone. Well, we will see you on the next podcast.